Hey, how's it going? Alex here from IdeaSpot. Do you want your website to load twice as fast? Well, I'm going to show you how to do it right now using free caching plugins. So I'm going to compare all the most popular caching plugins and make my recommendation at the end of the video. So we're going to be comparing W3 Total Cache, LiteSpeed Cache, WP Fastest Cache, WP Optimize, WP Super Cache, Autoptimize, and Breeze. I'm also going to compare one premium caching plugin, WP Rocket. Very, very popular. I'm going to compare them all on the same website here. I've got Pixie Dust Land. I'm going to compare them all using the same website. And at the end of the video, I'm going to rank all these plugins in order of their load time, and we're going to find out which plugin will win. So if that sounds interesting, hit that like button right now and keep watching. Okay, for this demonstration, I've got this website called Pixie Dust Land Creative Workshops. This was built using the Astra theme, using the free Elementor page builder. So pretty typical of the kind of website that you might build for free using the techniques I've shown in my earlier videos. So a good real world example. So this page doesn't have any caching plugin installed so far. We're going to do a test and see how it performs now, and then install some caching plugins and see what the improvements are. Okay, to measure any improvements in performance, you're going to need to use a speed testing tool. These are freely accessible. A popular one is gtmetrics.com. That's a good way of testing your site. Tools at pingdom.com. That's tools.pingdom.com. That's a really nice, popular way. You can test your website from different places around the world. Also pretty popular. My favorite is actually webpagetest.org. This is the most features, the most test locations, and probably the most options for a free testing utility. So I'm going to be using this one. We're going to benchmark it to start with. You just plug the URL in there. Change the test location to the closest location that's closest to where your website is hosted. In this case, it's in Singapore, but there's heaps of locations around the world: Sydney, Seoul, heaps of them in Europe and North America. So anyway, this is Singapore. EC2 means that's on the Amazon virtual server, so that's going to be really fast. Chrome browser. Native connection means no traffic shaping. I'm going to use the fastest possible testing method just to eliminate any variables from other network factors. And we're going to run 5 tests just to get a nice, reasonable average. And once you've plugged those in, you just hit start test. And so without any caching plugins to start with, I've got a load time of 1.3 seconds, which is good. It just shows that Astra really performs quite well out of the box. 1.3 seconds is totally reasonable. The first byte time isn't amazing at 0.5 seconds. Maybe we can improve on that. And we're getting an F for caching of static content. So hopefully we can improve that by installing the caching plugin. So let's get started. I'm in my WordPress dashboard. We're going to go to plugins and add new, and I'm just going to search for the keyword cache. And these are all the most popular sort of caching plugins. So these 3 are really, really popular. And Super Cache there is 2 million installs. WP Fastest Cache, LiteSpeed Cache, W3 Total Cache. I'm going to start with this one, LiteSpeed Cache. I've already installed it, so let's just activate that. So let's head over to the LiteSpeed Cache settings here. That's enabled. I'm just going to leave everything on default here. Not going to save anything. I'm just going to see what happens straight out of the box. So I'm going to head back to webpagetest.org, use the same settings here, pixiedustland.com. We're going to run 5 tests from Singapore with the native connection, and I'm going to call this one LiteSpeed. And let's go. It'll ask you to just do a quick check that you're not a robot. So looking at crosswalks here. There we go. And this looks like it is working. So we just have to wait. And these are our results. I have to say this looks pretty good. Our load time dropped down to 0.8 seconds. So we're getting a load time under 1 second. Our first byte time really dropped down a lot. So 0.05 seconds. That's only 51 milliseconds. Really, really good. We went from 500 milliseconds down to 50. So almost 10 times faster in the first byte. And the load time, a good chunk taken out of that load time. So without really doing anything there, that's just a free plugin. I quite like that result. So let's go ahead and test another one. Okay, for our next one, I'm going to try this WP Super Cache. This has the 2 million active users, so extremely popular. Let's put it to the test. I've got ahead and installed, click active, and then you have to go to settings and WP Super Cache to set this thing up. So for this test, I'm just going to leave it on easy mode. Caching, you're going to turn that caching to on and then update the status. There we go. And let's do a test cache. And there we go. Our tests look like they went off okay. So I think we are ready to run another web page test. So we head back over to webpagetest.org, put in the same details, native connection, 5 tests, start the test, and then we just have to wait. Okay, and here's our results for WP Super Cache. Very similar, 0.88 load time. The other one was 0.83. Not a lot in that. The first byte was 70, so maybe 10 or 20 milliseconds slower with this WP Super Cache, but this is totally not noticeable. I think the main difference is between using a cache and not using a cache. So pretty happy with this one as well. We're still getting this F for cache static content. So there's still some things that aren't actually getting cached and which might be just due to the number of days that it caches for. It's just showing that if it only caches for 7 days, it gives you a warning. But I think we can probably ignore that. 53 out of 100 of them are caching. And these ones are only caching for 7 days. So these are the scripts and the JavaScript. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's just the timing of those caches, but they are caching. So pretty happy with this. Happy with LiteSpeed and happy with WP Super Cache so far. Okay, next one we'll try is W3 Total Cache. So let's go ahead and install that one and click active when that's done. Okay, let's click activate. Okay, so that's all activated. Let's have a look at the settings here for W3 Total Cache. Okay, so in the Total Cache settings, straight away I can see that this is a little bit more complex than the other ones I've tested so far. So Page Cache, I'm going to want to enable that one. I'm just going to leave Disk Enhanced. I might just go Save Settings and Purge Caches from here. And what else can we do? Minify. We can minify our HTML JavaScript. I'm going to turn that on. That can cause errors, but it's worth a try if you can minify your scripts. I'm going to leave all that default. I'll hit Save All Settings. And what else have we got? Opcode cache, I'm going to leave that. Database cache, I might just leave that for now. Object cache, browser cache, that's quite good to turn on. CDN, I'm going to leave that for now. Lazy loading, defer loading of off-screen images. I might actually just turn that on, see what we get. That can cause errors depending on what plugins you're using. So just test it on and off, see how that goes. Anyway, lots of different settings here. So I just chose a few of the basic ones and let's just save all. Okay, settings change may either invalidate the cache data or modify the behavior of the site. Empty the page cache now. Okay, let's do that. And let's accept this W3 total cache. There we go. Let's actually have a look and see if the page is still loading properly. A little bit more complex than the other ones so far, but let's see if that pays off in terms of getting some results here. So I'm just going to reload that. There we go. I mean, it all looks okay. So let's go ahead and run the test. So back at web page test, I'm going to do 5 tests again. Let's hit start and let's wait and see the results. Wow, so W3 total cache has done pretty well here. 0.63 second load time. First byte is 75 milliseconds. This is the first time where the actual caching of static content has improved to a B, and the first byte time is still an A. So this is done quite well. I'm really happy with that. I mean, it did take a little bit more tinkering to get that set up, but the results, I think the results were worth it, really. This is almost half of what our original load time was, so that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and try another one. Okay, the next one we'll try is WP fastest cache with this picture of this cheetah on the icon there. Let's go ahead and install that one. Okay, then click activate. Okay, so after it's activated, you'll get this WP fastest cache cheetah icon there. Let's go ahead and see if there's anything we need to do. I'm going to turn the cache system to enable. What else can we do here? There's a few settings we can set up. Preload, create the cache of all the site automatically. Let's do that. Let's do the home page. That's the only page I'm testing, but we could click all of these if we were interested in generating caching for everything. We could do that. Hit OK. What else can we do here? You can use mobile caching as well. Don't show the cache version for desktop to mobile devices. Well, I think because we're using a responsive theme, we can leave that unchecked. Logged in users, don't show the cache version to logged in users. I think let's turn that on. Clear the cache when a new page or post is published. Let's go ahead and do that. Update posts. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Minify HTML, yes. Minify CSS, yes. Combine CSS, let's try that. Combine JavaScript, let's try that. Let's gzip everything. Browser caching, definitely. And emojis, I'm going to leave that as it is. Let's go ahead and submit. So there was a few things to choose to get this set up. Says I'm using Cloudflare. Let's pick that up by itself. So you need to enable Cloudflare integration via the CDN tab. Take a look at the tutorial. Okay, we could do that later. Options have been saved. Let's see what happens. So let's head back to web page test and let's start the test. Okay, so pretty good results again. The first byte time, this is probably the quickest first byte that I've seen. The load time was 0.75. Pretty good as well. Not as good as W3 total, but still good. I got a D for the caching of static content. I'm not sure how much that actually matters, given that it's only a couple tenths of a second difference. So yeah, pretty happy with that. There was a little bit of setup, but I mean, overall, I'm happy with this one as well. Okay, let's try this one now, WP Optimize. So let's go ahead and install. Okay, and activate. Okay, now let's head over to this WP Optimize thing and see how we set this up. And it says, thank you for installing. Okay, for the caching to work, let's head over to cache. I'm going to enable the page caching. Let's click purge. Let's do, I don't think we need separate for mobile devices, given that we're using Astra and it's fully responsive, so that should be fine. Serve cache pages to logged in users. I'm going to leave that off. That shouldn't matter if we're using web page test. Cache lifespan. We can choose hours. We can choose days. Let's make it 10 days and save these changes. Cool. All right, let's head over to web page test and run the test. Okay, so keeping all the settings the same, let's hit start. And let's just wait for these tests to finish. Okay, still a good outcome here. 0.85 seconds to load. Nothing that would distinguish itself ahead of the other caching plugins, but still better than not using any caching plugin. This thing I liked about this WP Optimize is it does more than just caching. It does image optimization, database optimization, and caching. And so I was only testing the caching function of this to compare it to the other caching things. But yeah, look, not a bad result. And I haven't tested all the features here. So you could actually just try some of these advanced settings, gzip compression, that's already enabled. See if you can actually get more improvement by adding the images and the database. But I think, yeah, the actual caching performed just as well as anything else. That setup was really, really easy. That setup was just a matter of going to enable page caching. So I quite like that. I think I'd give that quite a good score. Okay, so let's move on and try Autoptimize. This is also a very, very popular one, and it's got optimizing of your scripting in your CSS. It does your caching and does a lot. So I'm going to give this one a run. So let's go ahead and click Activate. Okay, so this one is set up under Settings, and you've got Autoptimize there. So let's go ahead and set this up. Let's optimize JavaScript code, yes. Also aggregate inline. Let's give it a try. Force JavaScript in head. Yeah, let's try. Try cache wrapping. Let's try. I'm just going to try all these things. We definitely want to optimize the CSS. Inline and defer it. This is always pretty good. Inline all the CSS. Can improve for sites with low page views. Maybe let's just leave that. Optimize the HTML. Cache folder's all good. Let's save changes and empty the cache. So this took a little bit of setting up, and I'm probably just guessing with some of these options. But anyway, let's have a run and see what we get. First thing I might do is just reload this page just to make sure I haven't broken anything by triggering all those options, and that looks okay. So let's go ahead and run the test, all the same settings once again. And then let's just be patient, wait for this to finish. Okay, so Autoptimize didn't do that well. This is pretty similar to the result I got without using any plugin. So yeah, not amazing. Maybe I did something wrong, but yeah, from my experience, it didn't work too well for this website. So I might pass on that one, and let's keep moving on to the next plugin. Okay, one more free plugin I was interested in is this one called Breeze. Now, that's a little bit newer than the other ones, but let's see what it actually does. So we've installed it. Let's go ahead and click Activate. And the settings for this guy are in Tools, Settings under Breeze. So what have we got? There we go. Cache system is on. And that's your timing there. The timing is set to 1 day. We could put another 0 in there, make it 10 days if we wanted to. We can minify HTML, CSS, JavaScript. We can make inline JavaScript and inline CSS. It says recommend testing it, which is what we're doing now. Gzip browser. Let's just try it all and turn on all these basic options. There we go. Let's see if our page is actually still working. All looks pretty good to me. Okay, so let's head over to web page test. Okay, so once again, we're going to run the test, all the same settings, hit start, and just be patient and wait for this to finish. Okay, Breeze. Kind of mixed results here because we got a decent result for the caching of static content, but our first byte time it wasn't great. It was just as bad as when we didn't use any caching plugin, so nearly similar. Maybe even a little bit worse. And that's actually increased the number of HTTP requests. So maybe I've done something wrong here, but yeah, my experience with Breeze has not been too great. So I don't recommend it based on my experience, but yeah, let me know if there's something I can improve on this one. Okay, for our last plugin, I'm going to try WP Rocket now. This is the only premium caching plugin I'm going to test for this video. So over at wp-rocket.me, this is $49 for one website, or if you're a developer or a designer, $249 will give you unlimited websites. And that's a 1 year fee. So every year you have to renew that. Installing it is a little bit different. You have to log into your account, get the WP Rocket zip file, and then head over to your plugins, add new, and you're going to have to upload the plugin. Choose your file and go ahead and upload it like that, and then activate it. Once you've done that, you'll go your WP Rocket. You're going to head over to Cache. You can have separate cache for mobiles. You can have both. You don't really need it if your site is responsive, but it does recommend keeping both anyway. I'm going to leave this default. What else have we got? File optimization. Let's minify HTML. Let's minify CSS. It does give you a little warning there and says it could break things, but yeah, we want to try it anyway. It's worked so far with the other plugins, so we're going to try it with this plugin. Same with this, combining Optimize CSS delivery. We're going to minify JavaScript. We are going to combine the JavaScript, and we want to load the JavaScript deferred. I think that's pretty much it. Remove query strings from static. It can give you a slightly better score in GT metrics, they think. Anyway, go ahead and save that. It's going to start generating your cache here. It's going to say we're preloading and generating critical CSS. So you just have to wait for that to finish. It says refresh to see the progress. So let's just go ahead and refresh. 8 pages has been cached. 0 of 6 CSS has been done. So let's refresh again. 1 out of 6. We just have to be patient and let all this set up properly. Okay, so it looks like WP Rocket has generated all of its caching and its critical CSS. Let's just reload our page and make sure it's looking normal and we haven't broken anything. I mean, that looks okay to me. Let's head over to web page test. All right, now I'm really curious to see how this premium plugin compares to all the free ones we've been testing. So let's hit start and let's just wait for these tests to finish. Okay, wow, this was the fastest of them all. So WP Rocket, a premium plugin, costs a little bit of money, but you can see where that money goes because this load time was a little bit quicker than all the free versions, and the number of requests was lower and the number of bytes to load the page was lower. So all really good results. Again, we're getting that strange D for caching of static content. I'm pretty sure that's just to do with the amount of time that you've set for the cache, and you could probably change that to a B or a C or an A if you wanted to tweak that. But the only number you really need to care about is that load time, and that's good, half a second. It's really going to be hard to improve on that. Again, W3 total was 0.6, and that's free. So if that little bit of a speed matters, then by all means, go for the premium version. I'll pop a link to WP Rocket in the description. Definitely worth getting a copy if you really need the fastest possible website. Like if you're doing e-commerce, it's definitely going to be worth having that extra little bit of speed. Like you saw, half a second load time. That was pretty impressive. So definitely recommend WP Rocket. Okay, so in conclusion, WP Rocket, the premium option was the fastest. So I'll pop a link to WP Rocket in the description so you can grab a copy of that. It's definitely worth it if you need to have the fastest possible website. If not, W3 Total Cache, it took a little bit of setup, but not much different from WP Rocket and not much difference in terms of its results. So if you want to save a few dollars, W3 Total Cache, totally good result there. WP Fastest Cache, similar again, took a few steps, wasn't quite as quick as Total Cache, but still pretty good. LiteSpeed, not bad. I mean, super easy setup. I didn't do anything except install it basically. If you're a beginner, try that out. That was pretty good. WP Optimize, decent result. I mean, extra features that we didn't actually use in this review. So images and database optimization, you can add those. I mean, there are free plugins that do this, but having it all in one, and if you want to minimize the number of plugins you're using on your website, that could be a nice option and totally free. Super Cache, again, really easy, decent result. And Autoptimize and Breeze, I don't think I managed to set those up properly, so I didn't really get good results from them, but might have something to do with my WordPress, my theme, something I did wrong, but my experience wasn't great, but yours might be variable. So, I mean, try them for yourselves. I definitely can recommend Rocket if you want to spend money, and Total Cache if you still want a good result without money, and probably LiteSpeed is nice if you just want to get some caching and not really think about it. Just click install and get on with your life. So I hope that was useful. Definitely click that subscribe button, or let me know in the comments if there's anything else you'd like me to cover. Remember to hit like, and I'll see you next time.